Hello everyone, and welcome back to Fun with Flags and History. Today, we will be exploring the topic of the Sino-Soviet border clashes of 1968 in depth and detail. This conflict was a pivotal moment in the history of China and the Soviet Union, and it had far-reaching consequences for both countries and the world at large. In this video, we will delve into the causes, events, and aftermath of this conflict to gain a better understanding of its historical significance. The Sino-Soviet border clashes of 1968 were the culmination of years of tension and conflict between the two communist superpowers. To understand the root causes of this conflict, we need to go back to the 1950s, when the relationship between China and the Soviet Union was at its height. After the Chinese Communist Party, led by Mao Tse-Tung, came to power in 1949, the Soviet Union became its primary ally and supporter. The Soviet Union provided China with military and economic aid, and it helped China build its industrial base and modernize its armed forces. However, tensions began to arise between the two countries in the mid-1950s as Nikita Khrushchev became the leader of the Soviet Union. Khrushchev pursued a policy of peaceful coexistence with the West, which he believed would benefit the Soviet Union's economy and global influence. However, Mao Tse-tung was critical of this policy, which he believed was a betrayal of communist principles. Mao believed that the Soviet Union was no longer a true ally of China, and he accused Khrushchev of being a revisionist and abandoning the struggle for world revolution. The relationship between China and the Soviet Union continued to deteriorate throughout the 1960s. In 1960, the Soviet Union withdrew its aid and advisors from China, and it cancelled several economic agreements. This was a major blow to China, which had relied heavily on Soviet support for its economic development. China responded by launching the Great Leap Forward, a massive economic and social reform program aimed at increasing agricultural and industrial output. However, the program was poorly planned and executed, leading to widespread famine and economic hardship in China.
Have something to eat? No. Could I have something to eat? No. Could I have something to eat? No. Can't you say anything else but no?
Try asking again.
Can I have something to eat?
No.
In addition to this economic tensions, there were also ideological differences between China and the Soviet Union. Mao Tse-tung, the chairman of the Chinese Communist Party, believed in a more radical and militant form of communism than Khrushchev, who advocated for peaceful coexistence and negotiation with the West, as a splinter of the Marxist-Leninist faction formed and created by Joseph Stalin in the 1930s. Mao believed, however, that China should lead the global communist movement and that it should be more aggressive in supporting communist revolutions in other countries. This led to tensions between China and the Soviet Union over their respective roles in the global communist movement. Finally, there was the issue of territorial disputes between China and the Soviet Union. China claimed that the Soviet Union had occupied large parts of its territory during the 19th century, and it demanded the return of these territories. The Soviet Union refused to cede any territory, leading to tensions between the two countries. Familiar? Coincidence?
I think not!
This territorial dispute would play a major role in the Sino-Soviet border clashes of 1968. In conclusion, the background of the Sino-Soviet border clashes of 1968 is complex and multifaceted. It was a culmination of years of tension and conflict between China and the Soviet Union over ideological, economic, and territorial issues. This conflict had far-reaching consequences for both countries, as well as for the global communist movement. In the next part of this video series, we will explore the events and aftermath of the Sino-Soviet border clashes of 1968 in more detail. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to click the like button and subscribe if you want to see more historical and vexillological content. This is Frank with Fun with Flags and History, signing off, and of course, have a good one.